In our current environment, we have come to rely on the media for everything. We rely on it for education, communication, and a connection to the world around us in a period of our lives when we spend the majority of our time away from others. From the time that we're born, we observe. We take in sights, sounds, feelings, and smells, and being the intelligent creatures that we are, we take all this up and then we make our decisions based off of these things. We observe behaviors that are met with rewards and praise, and instinctively we tend to copy these behaviors. On the other end of the spectrum, we see behaviors that are punished and looked down upon, and instinctively we tend to stray from partaking in these behaviors. But what happens when the line between what is a good behavior and what is a bad behavior becomes blurred? Hello, my name is Madison Crossley. I'm 17 years old, and this is my first year in 4-H as a member of the Peach Blossom Club. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how violence in the media being television, video games, and music, can harmfully affect our behavior by desensitizing us and conditioning us to believe that violence is the norm rather than the exception. Did you know that a statistic by the Federal Communications Commission says that by the time the average American child has turned 18 years of age, they will have witnessed approximately 200,000 acts of violence on the television? This is rather shocking, and it's even more so once you realize the ramifications that viewing violence at this frequency can have. You see, within our brains, we contain something called mirror neurons. These are what allow us to feel empathy and to relate to one another. But when we witness a violent act on the television being praised, our brains subconsciously make the connection between violence and praise. Violence on the television is not only harmful for this reason, but it has been linked to an overall desensitization within the public to violence. And it often portrays violence as a means of allowing someone to express feelings or get what they desire without showing the real-life ramifications of the violence. Another form of media in which violence is encouraged but real-life consequences are not portrayed is video games. The first video game that truly drew the attention of the general public was created in the 1960s and was known as Space War. Many common video games today are Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, and Grand Theft Auto, all of which happen to be centered around violence. You see, when children play these video games, there's a reward system created within the video game that is designed to reward children for violent behavior. And this creates something that is known as a dopamine loop within the brain. A dopamine loop is when a person develops a certain compulsion to commit a specific action because they know that it will trigger the release of pleasant neurotransmitters within the brain. This dopamine loop is highly addictive, and it causes a craving that many children and young adults want to give into, and it causes them to continue playing video games and continue to reinforce the idea that violence is a behavior for which people can be rewarded. You see, video games have an unusual ability to affect our emotions, thoughts, and feelings, and music has a similar ability. Music is a very unique form of media that is able to affect us in a greater way than any other form, and that is both positively and negatively. You see, in this day and age, music is all around us. Many people use it as a way to express their emotions, to feel connected to others, and they use it to help them calm down. But surprisingly enough, music is also a very common source of exposure to violence. Music is capable of eliciting all sorts of different emotions in people, and aggression is one of them. Numerous studies have linked the negative diction that is used in rap music to an increase in violence, but the lyrics themselves cannot be blamed for everything. In a study by St. Lawrence and Joyner, they took a large group of participants and divided them into 3 groups. They had the first group listen to heavy rock music with violent lyrics, the second group listened to Christian heavy rock music, and the third group listened to classical music. A month prior to this experiment, they had all the participants take a quiz to measure their aggression levels. Then after listening to the music, they had them take the same quiz again and they compared the results. Shockingly enough, the researchers found that both the heavy metal group and the Christian heavy metal group showed virtually equal increases in aggression. This led the researchers to believe that the lyrics themselves could not be blamed for everything, but that it was the music itself which was manipulating the brain into aggression. In a time when we often listen to music in order to express our emotions and our feelings, we must be extremely careful about what types of music we're listening to and exposing our children to. Because unlike any other form of media, music is one of ancient origins. and it affects us on a deeper level, both positively and negatively. Our society has become one that is obsessed with media, and while violence in the media is something that will always exist, it doesn't necessarily need to be capitalized on to the extent that it has been. I am hopeful that as people become more aware of the implications that exposing ourselves to violence can have, that we will all more carefully contemplate what true purpose violence in the media serves. And hopefully we will begin to question, since when we have come to let ourselves believe that violence is something that should be expected in our society, rather than something that we should be shocked by.